It's 2:13 a.m. when your secure line vibrates. Not rings, never rings. Vibrates once, then stops. You're already awake. You sit in the dark, staring at the ceiling, counting the seconds you weren't supposed to notice. 1, 2, 3. It vibrates again. That means it's real. You reach for the phone on your nightstand, already knowing what's waiting on the other end isn't a conversation. It's a decision. You answer without speaking. A voice you've never heard before says your name, not the one on your passport, the other one, the one that doesn't exist. There's been a breach, the voice says. Calm, too calm, level black. Your chest tightens, but your face doesn't move. Level black means one thing, not data, not infrastructure. People. Whose system, you ask? A pause. Then, all of them. The line goes dead. You're out of bed before the silence settles. By 2:46 a.m., you're inside a building that technically isn't on any map. No signage, no guards in uniform, no visible cameras. But everything is watching you. Your retina scan opens the first door. Your voice opens the second. The third opens because it already knows you're coming. You walk through corridors lit like a hospital, but colder. No one speaks, no one makes eye contact. Everyone here understands one thing. If you're here at this hour, something has already gone wrong. You reach sub-level 5. That's where your office is. Not because you're important, because you're dangerous. You weren't supposed to end up here. 5 years ago, you were just another analyst buried under satellite feeds and intercepted chatter. You learned patterns, not just what people said, but what they avoided saying. You noticed gaps, tiny inconsistencies between governments that were supposed to be allies, funding trails that looped back on themselves, military exercises scheduled to fail before they even started. You didn't report it. You mapped it, quietly. Every weakness, every blind spot, every hidden fracture in systems built to look unbreakable. And then, one day, someone higher up noticed that you weren't reacting to intelligence. You were predicting it. That's when they moved you. Not promoted, removed. Inside your office now, the screens are already alive. Multiple nations, multiple systems, all blinking red. You don't sit down. You scan. Power grid fluctuations in Eastern Europe, unauthorized troop movement simulations in Southeast Asia, banking anomalies across 3 continents. Individually, they're noise. Together, they form a pattern, a familiar one. Too familiar. Your stomach drops. Someone is using your framework. You pull up the internal archive, encrypted, segmented, hidden even from most of the people in this building. Except you, because you built it. A map of global vulnerabilities, every government's weakness reduced to probabilities and pressure points. Political instability thresholds, military response delays, economic chokeholds, civil unrest triggers. You called it something simple, the index. You scroll through access logs. There's movement, not recent, ongoing, for months. They haven't broken in, they've been inside. Your door opens without a knock. He walks in like he owns the building. Technically, he might. You've never been told his name, only his clearance level. Higher than yours. Tell me this isn't what I think it is, he says. You don't look at him. It's worse, you reply. You turn one of the screens toward him.
A cascade of projections unfolds, governments destabilizing within days, alliances collapsing in hours, markets crashing before anyone can react, all triggered by small, precise actions, surgical, intentional, designed. You built this, he says quietly. No, you say, I mapped it. He studies you, and now someone else is using it. You nod. He exhales once. Then, can you stop it? You hesitate, not because you don't know the answer, because you do. Yes, you say, a beat, but not without becoming part of it. By 4:10 a.m. you're in the war room. No windows, no clocks, just screens and people pretending they're still in control. They're not. You stand at the center, explaining something no one wants to hear. This isn't an attack, you say. It's a demonstration. Of what? A general frowns. You meet his eyes. Control. Silence. You continue. They're not collapsing systems, they're proving they can. You bring up a timeline. Small disruptions, carefully spaced, different countries, different sectors, but all following the same logic. Pressure the weakest point just enough to make it visible. And then someone asks. You don't soften it. Then they choose where to break it. They give you authority you were never meant to have. Temporary, they say. Conditional, they say. You know better. Power like this doesn't come with an expiration date. It comes with consequences. You go back to your office and lock the door. Then you do the one thing you've never done before. You activate the full index. Not the segmented version, not the restricted view. All of it. Every weakness, every scenario, every outcome. It floods your screens. For a moment, it feels like too much. Then it feels like clarity. You see it now, not just what they're doing. Why? They're not targeting the strongest nations. They're targeting the ones holding everything together quietly. The stabilizers. Remove those, and everything else collapses naturally. No war needed, just imbalance. You isolate the pattern, run projections, simulate responses. Every path leads to the same conclusion. You can't defend everything. So you don't. You choose. By 4:10 a.m. you've made your first decision. A small country, economically fragile, politically ignored, but strategically critical. You let it fall. Not completely, just enough. A controlled failure. You reroute resources elsewhere. No one questions you. They assume you know something they don't. They're right. The next 72 hours blur. You move faster than governments can react, shifting intelligence, redirecting assets, quietly influencing decisions that will never be traced back to you. You don't stop the attacks, you shape them, guide them, limit them. And in doing so, you start to understand something uncomfortable. You're not fighting the system, you're becoming it. Sleep becomes optional, food becomes irrelevant, time loses meaning. All that matters is the board and the pieces. Then you see it, a move you didn't predict, a deviation from your own model. Small, but deliberate. You lean closer to the screen. Someone isn't just using your framework, they're improving it. Your pulse slows. That shouldn't be possible. Not without access, not without understanding how you think. You pull up deeper logs, hidden layers, dead code paths, and there it is, a signature. Not a name, a pattern. Familiar, uncomfortable, recognizable, because it mirrors yours. Your door opens again. This time you speak first. We are not dealing with a group, you say. He stops. Then what? You turn to him. One person. He almost laughs. Impossible. You shake your head. No. Efficient. He studies the screen. Can you find them? You consider it, then answer honestly. Yes. A pause. And what? You don't look away. If I do, this stops being defense. He understands. Then what does it become? You let the silence sit. Then a hunt. You initiate a trace, not through systems, through behavior, decisions, risk tolerance. You reconstruct their thinking, their priorities, their limits, and slowly a picture forms, not where they are, who they are. They think like you, but they don't hesitate. Where you contain damage, they accelerate it. Where you calculate risk, they embrace it. Where you choose restraint, they choose impact. And that's when it hits you. They're not trying to prove control. They're trying to prove that restraint is the real weakness. The next move is yours. You could shut everything down, burn the index, erase the framework, but that won't stop them. It'll just blind you. Or you could go deeper, use everything, not to defend the system, but to control it completely. Your finger hovers over the command. Full integration, no restrictions, no oversight. If you do this, there's no going back, no pretending you're just an analyst, no separating yourself from the outcomes. The secure line vibrates again. Once. You don't answer it. You don't need to, because now you understand something no one else in this building does. This was never a breach. It was an invitation. You press the key. Every screen changes. Not red, not blinking, stable, controlled, yours. And somewhere out there, the only person who thinks like you notices. You lean back for the first time in hours, heart steady, mind clear, because now, for the first time since this started, you're not reacting, you're deciding, and that changes everything. The system doesn't lock you out, it opens wider, like it's been waiting. Layers you never had clearance for begin to unfold in front of you. Archives inside archives, contingency plans written for scenarios no one publicly admits exists, agreements between nations that contradict everything they claim on record. You scroll slowly, not overwhelmed, focused, because this is what you were always meant to see, the real structure beneath the performance.
Every government has a weakness. You always knew that. Now you see something deeper. Every government has a dependency. Energy, trade routes, information flow, public trust. Break the right one and the rest follow. Not instantly, but inevitably. You start marking them, not as targets, as leverage. Hours pass, or maybe minutes. It doesn't matter anymore. You build a new model, not defensive, not reactive. Predictive isn't enough. This one is directive. It doesn't ask what will happen, it determines what should. And then a message appears, not through your system, inside it. One line, no traceable origin, no encryption signature you recognize, just text, clean, precise. You finally stopped holding back. You stare at it, no fear, no surprise, just confirmation. You type a response, not because you have to, because you want to. Show yourself. The cursor blinks. 3 seconds. 5. Then, soon. The message disappears, but something lingers. A shift.
subtle, like the board just expanded. You look at the world again, not as it is, but as it can be. Controlled instability, directed outcomes, selective pressure. You don't need to collapse systems, you just need to guide them. And now you can. The realization settles in slowly, not heavy, not dramatic, just certain. You were never meant to protect the system. You were meant to understand it completely. And once you understand something completely, you don't defend it. You decide what it becomes.